Mix 1041, New England Lifestyles. It is always a pleasure to me to talk about people achieving their dreams because when it comes down to it, I'm just a dumb kid who decided I liked music and found a way to make a career in it. I've been the music director here at Mix 1041 for 20 years. It's been an amazing thing. When it comes down to it, there's nothing like a dream. A dream drives everything in your life. A couple of years ago, was it last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Julie Joyle is here. She's the executive director of the HMS Med Science program at Harvard University. It is great to have you here again.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you here because the last time you came through, you were talking about this program. And I just sat here. You brought Stephanie with you last time, who was involved with the program. And I was so completely stunned by hearing how you were giving kids an opportunity to relive dreams that were amazing.
That's exactly right. So we're a program, we're an inspiration program, and we're trying to inspire the next generation of scientists, really, and get them excited about the STEMs, the science, technology, engineering, and math careers, because that's where the jobs are, and that's where the really good work is.
You have brought a friend with you today.
I sure did.
His name is Justin Awumi.
That's right.
That's right.
Justin, hey.
Hey, how are you?
You're doing really good. Number one, you have an excellent voice for radio, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
This program, I mean, let's talk about the program first because you're a beneficiary of this program.
Correct.
You're a guy who got involved, and you talk about living your dreams.
Yeah.
You're in medical school now.
Correct. I just finished my first year of medical school at Tufts University. And to me, I'm still shocked at how far the program's come because when I did the program, it didn't even really have a name. It wasn't med science. It was, I got an email from one of my other mentors at Harvard, and she said, "Look, I know you're looking to do something this summer, and so just try this 1 week program out." And we went down, and there was a dark room, and there was a curtain, and Julie's there, and Dean Nancy Oriole, and they're telling me, you can do it, and I'm still just like, what is going on? There's this patient, and it feels very real, Although it's a dummy and you go in and this patient's having a heart attack and your heart rate goes up and you're trying to figure out what's wrong. And then I started working at Boston Children's after I graduated from Colby in 2014. And I get a random email from Nancy Oriole. And I'm like, who is Nancy? And then I Google her and I'm like, oh, that's the woman that helped me when I was a sophomore in high school. I did that one program asking if she can use my photo. I say yes. And she says, okay, it's been 6 years. What's going on with you? I tell her, I work down the street. She says, come in. And I walk in, and this program they're no longer in the in the basement. It's gone a long way. And to see these students sit where I sat, it's the reason I go back and volunteer because it brings me joy and continues to fuel me on those tough weeks in medical school.
You're a kid from Jamaica Plain. Well, before we talk about your story, because it's excellent. I love to hear. Mm-hmm. I'm one of these people, and I will freely admit this. I get intimidated by the fact of someone who's doing so well and doing so much to change the world. I mean, this is legit here. This is fantastic. It takes a special guy to be able to pull that off.
And what are the ingredients for that? Because Justin came to us when he was at the O'Brien High School at Boston Public School when he was in 10th grade, and he sat in the chair that our students are sitting in there. And what was it, as educators, we're trying to figure out what is it that allowed Justin to take our program, get inspired. He said it was in our program that he said, I think I can do this. I think I can be a doctor. And it's grit, right? He has true grit. And the thing I love about Justin is that he is in medical school. He got there, but he always comes back. We're in 12 Boston public schools now. We're in 20 schools now. We were probably in 4 when he started. And he continues to come back and mentor that next generation. And I think he will do it for the rest of his life. So,
as we talk about this program, I want you to go to the following website, hmsmedscience.org. That is where you can find out about this program, which is, you talk about, again, what you want to do in this world is give people an opportunity. And sometimes the opportunity is just exposing them to the fact that you can do this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, people don't know what they can do until they see, wait a second, this is it? Mm-hmm. I can pull this off. When talk about specifically, Julie, the program.
We started this program about 7 years ago, and I've been a nurse for 35 years. I love nursing, but my real passion was why are some schools great and some schools not? And why are there these disparities between the quality of our education? So I went back at the age of 48 and got a formal degree in education policy.
I love that, by the way. You know, you had this great career.
Yeah,
and you just wanted it. You felt a calling.
Yeah, so, and I did it, and I don't know how I did that, but I did want to level the playing field. I went to school during school busing, probably the same time you went to high school, and things hadn't changed in 50 years. I sat on a charter school board, and I'm like, nothing has changed in this domain. So I thought I was going to change the world, but the weekend I graduated, I ran into this woman we're talking about, Dean Oriole, and she said, I have this new idea about starting a science program to inspire inner city kids to like science. And really what it is a high quality programming out of Harvard Medical School. I raise all my money for my nonprofit, my own operating budget, but we're housed at Harvard Medical School, and it's a program to offer high quality programming to kids in Boston Public Schools, and it's awesome. And they deserve to have high quality programming. Our kids have high quality programming.
Right.
All kids should have that. So it's a program really to teach critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and communication skills using the human body, our lifelike mannequin that you can see on our website. You can see Stan.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Purple hair?
He talks, purple hair today. He was on cocaine. So it's a health literacy program, too. So that day he happened to be on coke. We talk about addiction. It's a problem. But when we teach the biology of addiction, we're trying to prevent kids from doing coke and doing heroin. And they may do that when they see what happens at the neurological level, right, with the neurons.
And again, this program that we want you to look into, hmsmedscience.org, is really that. It's bringing and exposing these kids from a variety of inner city schools to this curriculum. Take me back to when you first got involved with this thing. Again, did you know at an early age you wanted to be a doctor?
Loosely, yes. I think, so my father is Nigerian and my mother is Trinidadian, and they're both immigrants. They came to this country and they got an education and did the best that they could, and they raised kids and they want you to get an education. And so for them, when they think of high educational achievement, the first things that come to mind are doctor, lawyer, engineer. And so for me, I said, well, maybe doctor, maybe engineer. Before I first got involved with any medical program, I did this science program at Northeastern for robotics, I think it was. And I was just not feeling it. I just, for whatever it was, it just didn't gravitate towards me. And then I did maybe one mentoring for science program at Harvard Medical School when I was in 8th grade. And I said, well, maybe this doctor thing's kind of, I can do it. And I like science. And this is, I go to school for math and science in general is where, I get the juices flowing. And so I continue to do those Harvard programs and, skirt tailing around the idea. When adults ask me what I wanted to be, I would say doctor. And then really there are two experiences that did it for me. And one of them is med science, right? So I went in and you pretty much play the role of an emergency room physician. So Stan comes in with whatever chief complaint, and you go. And now that I'm in medical school, I'm like, wow, I'm interviewing real patients and I'm using the same template. The thinking's still the same. And I was now I look back retroactively, I'm like, man, these kids are doing it in high school, and that's pretty cool. And so while I'm doing it, I'm like, wow, I'm talented. I'm getting things right. I'm in a space where I can feel comfortable with learning. I think as an inner city kid, it's tough to be a smart kid in the inner city. I think you're made fun of, you're picked on. I wasn't, because I also played sports, so that was kind of. I wasn't, because I also played sports and I got along with most kids. But for some of my close friends in high school, they didn't have a great experience because they love to learn, but that's not cool. And so going into programs like med science, where I was just so myself, so being able to take a risk, to shout out an answer even if it's wrong, or just think about my thought process and communicate and be right. And when I was wrong, not feel bad about being wrong. I said, man, I kind of like this doctor thing. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do it. And then after my freshman year of college at Colby, I did a program called the Summer Medical and Dental Education Program. It's a national program run through the AAMC, and they partner with medical schools across the country. And it's pretty much a medical school boot camp. So for 6 weeks, you and other underrepresented students go in and you take academic courses, you shadow, you learn how to come up with a medical school essay. And I did that at Duke. And that was the other program that to be able to be successful amongst my peers and to have RAs that lived in the dorm be medical students or interns, and they say, man, if you just stick with this, you can do it. And so after that program, I said, you know what, all bets are off. I'm going to medical school, whatever it takes.
And here you are.
Yeah.
That's fantastic stuff. And when it comes down to it, just understanding that, wait a second, I can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that that's like something that is not necessarily accessible to people.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
And the other thing that has always stuck out to me is there's kids stigmatize science and math and engineering. I mean, they get intimidated by it. It's an intimidating thing for many, but when it comes down to it, you can do it.
Right. Yeah. And it's just having mentoring. Mm-hmm. It's having good programming. And starting early, and that's where the jobs are. When you go into a healthcare profession of any type, it doesn't have to be a doctor or a nurse. There's PT, PA, nurse practitioner, the list goes on and on. Yeah. When you give of yourself, you replenish yourself. And it's really rewarding work. And I tell my students, I worked 35 years in an intensive care unit, or 20 years, but I've been a nurse 35 years. I didn't have one bad day. And people died. Bad things happened. But when you give of yourself like that, it's really good work, and that actually makes for a happy person.
No, it does. Again, if you're just tuning in to Mix 104.1, that is Julie Joyle. She is the executive director of the HMS Med Science program being done by Harvard. The website is hmsmedscience.org. We want people to get involved. As we discussed this morning, we want people to get involved because this is majorly important stuff. You see dreams come true. This gentleman in front of me, Justin, is a guy who, number one, handsome guy, athletic guy, intelligent guy, a confident guy, and he got there because he had an opportunity. And this opportunity is being offered to people, but you have to get the word out. So tell us about how people can help, because this is really important.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit, and then Justin can do the same. So we love volunteers. So Justin went through our program, and we had him come back and volunteer for 2 years. It was really a good thing for his resume. He learned a ton of science. He was around healthcare professionals. We're looking for volunteers. You can be pre-nursing, pre-med. You can be somebody who wants to learn about your body. We are looking for volunteers. We're looking for other organizations to partner with. I raise all my operating budget. I have an operating budget of about $600,000. I'm looking for other programs to partner with. We'll take other people's students in, and we'll collaborate how to do best practices. So those are some ways I can think of working with other organizations and people. Can you think of other things we need over there?
I think the more volunteers, the better. I think.
Talk about your volunteer experience, because you have been a student and the volunteer there. Mm-hmm. Tell us your perspective of the people who were showing you back in the day and how it is to go back and work with these kids today. How much has the program changed? What you see in these kids, the spark you see. That's intriguing to me.
I think the transition that these students come in with, whether it's through their school, so they're with their classmates, or the random assortment of students that come in the summer, to see them go from week to week, it's amazing. First they come in, and you always have your students that are very outspoken and willing to get things wrong, and then you have the students that are quiet and already know the answer, but they don't want to say anything. And so you see both those types of students and everyone in between go from giving others a chance to speak, listening to other people's voices, or speaking up for themselves, or presenting a different perspective that they knew it was kind of right, but they never thought anyone would listen to them. So you go from...
Which kid were you?
I was more outspoken. I was... I've been an athlete my whole life, so I'm used to working in teams, and so for me it was always a balance of when to speak and when to make sure others' voices get heard. And so I did a program with one of my other friends who was soft-spoken, and so I would look at him and be, okay, maybe I should Be quiet. But no matter what, these kids, the sense that they're like applying the knowledge. I think school is dull. School is dull, and anyone who likes school or likes anything about school, it's always the hands-on experience.
Right, 100%.
It's always the hands-on experience.
Yeah.
'Cause that's when it's real. That's when you remember it.
But I see you now when you're leading a class now. And what is, I think, to your question, what is that like for you? Like now to be the teacher?
I know.
Yeah.
I don't take it lightly. I was an education minor in college, and so to me, education has always been important. Like I said, my family stressed it growing up, and so to be a teacher, it's weird because you kind of see yourself in these students, and you understand that, you know, I know I am unique, but I'm not that unique. I don't view myself as unique. I view myself as a relatively smart kid who got a lot of love and a lot of exposure to different things, and built confidence in his ability because of that exposure and that support. And so because of that, I want to be that for someone else, right? Anytime I see a student, be it through med science, be it someone who wants to apply to medical school, I'm willing to talk to them and engage, because the more you know, the better.
And it's such a, I mean, the whole education component of this country is so key. You know, I've seen it up close myself, because my wife was a refugee from Vietnam, came here, was luckily allowed to come to this country as one of the boat people from Vietnam in 1980. Arrived here penniless with a family, had nothing,
Not speaking English.
Right, started school is in first grade, not knowing how to speak English, and they said she'll figure it out, and she ended up being the class valedictorian. Okay, she went to Tufts. She's in the med field now. She's a hygienist. And it's amazing to see that all kids need is an opportunity. They will figure it out if they believe in themselves and they get the right mentors. I mean, that's the thing. You have to be shown.
Yeah.
You know,
you do.
your parents are extremely key to this. They really helped you. I mean, how do they feel about what they see their son doing?
They don't.
Yeah, we always ask, what did your mom do when you got in?
My mom, especially, they drove a hard bargain when I was a kid, and you know, when you're a kid, it sucks. You know, not being able to go outside and play with your friends when they ring your doorbell, because. So my mother, growing up, again, the Boston Public Schools, some of them are great and some of them aren't. And so in elementary school, I struggled early on in elementary school because I was always getting in trouble. I would always get in trouble. And so now I look back and I'm like, well, it's because I wasn't challenged. Right? So if a kid is ahead of the class, or, you know, one of the smartest students in the class, they're going to get their work done. And so what do you do when you finish your work? You sit there and twiddle your thumbs, or you talk to the person next to you.
Absolutely.
And so that was always me up until maybe 8th grade, because John D. O'Brien is a pretty rigorous school. I no longer had the time to talk to students. And so I would come home and my mom would be like, did you finish your homework? And I'm like, yeah. And so, you know, she had this rule of limiting the amount of hours of TV I watched and video games. And so she said, you're not just going to sit here. You're not just going to play. And so I say McGraw-Hill was very instrumental in my early education. So whatever grade I was in, she'd get the math, she'd get the science, she'd get the phonics, and she'd say, you have to do 2 pages in this, 3 pages in this, 2 pages in this. And so nowadays I just say thanks, Mom, because, you know, that's where that work ethic comes from. That's the, you know, the idea of delayed gratification. Friends ring the doorbell. She says he'll be out in 20, 30 minutes when he does this. And as a kid, you always try to get around things. And so the answers, I remember one day, the answers were at the back of the book. And so one day I was like, I just want to really go outside. So I looked at the answers and I copied them verbatim. The next day, I tried to do the same thing, and my mom didn't say anything to me. And I went to the back, and all the answers were gone. And so, you know, she never let me get away with anything. Yeah. She really didn't.
But that type of parenting, I hear it from my kids all the time, because my wife is also, you know, she brought that work ethic. You know,
the immigrant work ethic.
It's true. It's the people who don't have anything who really value it the most. You know, and it's an amazing thing to see, because, you know, you see a family that arrived in the United States with nothing, and every member of the family is making a fantastic salary and owns their own homes. And then you see other families that have everything, but because they were children of privilege, they never really understood the value of work. It's an amazing thing to watch.
We have private school kids in our program, and they have their whole set of issues about resiliency as well. But I think we're trying to figure out with these kids from Boston, if they don't have these work ethic, how can we help them in our program? Just give them a little light and give them a mentor like Justin or
And what a difference that makes.
Oh.
Mentors make all the difference in the world. They
do.
always, no matter what it is, you try to find someone whose thing you like.
That's
You know, I
exactly
remember when
right.
a friend sobriety came in. It's like find someone whose sobriety you
Yeah.
like, and then you understand where to go.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
right.
mean? Find someone
the
who's
light.
right. Find someone whose way of you like someone's life. Talk to them. How'd they
Right.
get
Yeah.
there?
Right.
Ask them questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that these kids get immersed in these programs,
Yeah.
I mean, look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I think for the inner city kids, it's as being one, and my, I think of my friends, they, everyone has a different set of issues that they go through. But I think for the inner city youth across, they're dealing with, part of it is like, can I just get a meal in the morning?
Right.
Part of it is, can I walk to school without fearing for my life? And so it's so tough. And that's why I say, like, for those kids especially, and I tell them when I speak to them, like, you guys go through all of that and you're still here. So, like, if you're doing this, are you kidding me? Because then once you get in better settings, like, you go off to a great college, the more resources you have, the almost as, it's like, wow, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And now all I have to do is work hard. It's not like I have to work hard and I've got life
Right.
on my shoulders.
And that's the thing, the unequal access to,
Yeah. Ugh.
again, the right education. It's like
Right.
just because the resources going to school
Just
doesn't mean the education
where you're
there.
born, your zip code determines the quality of your
It really
education.
does.
And we believe that that's a huge problem. All education needs to be equal, and then we'll all be at the same level, and we will have a better country that way. And
No,
I
it's
hope
true.
we get there.
Well, here's the thing. Again, the Med Science program, the high school STEM programs, this is really bringing these skills to kids. And again, kids all over the country get intimidated by science and math, but, you make it a game. Every year in the summertime, every time you go on a nature walk, you're teaching the kids science. And it's like, that's fun stuff. You know what I mean? It's one thing looking at a book. It's another thing picking up a rock and saying, what's under here?
Right.
Why are they here?
Right.
What else? You know what I mean? There's so much fun. It's real life.
Great analogy.
Well,
exactly.
but I mean, that's really what it's about. I mean, I'm sure this is why, law had no, the engineering, the law, it wasn't real life. But you get in there with that dummy, all of a sudden there you are. You're actually working on this. I mean, do you remember what the first thing when you bopped in, what you had to treat?
We'll remember.
It was an asthma attack.
Yeah.
But it was, I can't even. You oftentimes struggle to put it into words because until you're in the room, it changes you. It doesn't. It feels very real to you. And we've done some simulation at Tufts, and even still, you see it. And some of my classmates are like, I don't even know why we're doing. Like, this is dumb, And then it's like your turn, and you're like,
Yeah, it's not so dumb anymore.
all right.
They're
Where's the
sweating.
oxygen non-rebreather? Like, what's going on? Like, what's my
Right.
role? And you're panicking, and then they leave, and they're like,
Whoa.
Isn't that
Whoa.
funny? In any program,
Yeah.
it's like when I get an intern into a radio station, I say, get in front of a mic, even if it's not attached to a transmitter. You need mic time. You don't know who you are until you spend time in front of the mic.
Yeah.
Just because you think you know what you want to say, saying it when the mic is hot is a different thing.
That's
you need
exactly
to spend the
right.
time. You need
So-
to take the swing.
And as patients, we want people practicing on a dummy simulator because we don't want that doctor practicing on us. But we have the same.
Justin would have saved that kid from asthma,
Yeah,
regardless.
he did. He did. He gave him an inhaler. But we do the same curriculum that we do with Harvard medical students. We just do high school biology with them. But our students today, we just left a group. They were sweating on their brow. And the Harvard medical students sweat on their brow too. And you're right. They're probably sitting back like, oh, I'm too cool for this. But man, you get up there and you're trying to save someone's life. It's serious business.
Really is. Again, hmsmedscience.org is the website. And there's information about the work. What's the dummy's name?
Stan.
Stan is right there.
Stan the man. It stands for standard man, but we do put wigs on.
I'm
the
glad to
dummy.
hear that.
Yeah.
But there are ways to get involved. Obviously, the volunteers are important. If people are intrigued by this program, if a mom or dad is driving and they
Yeah.
have and they're
We have
saying,
summer programming. Go to our website. You can go right on our website and say, I heard you on the radio. with Mike. My kid wants a summer program. How do I sign up? I want to be a volunteer. I'm thinking about medical school. I heard Justin's story. That's who I want to be. You will find a way through our website to contact us, and we will get back to you within 24 hours, I promise, and we'll have you down.
Justin, let me ask you a question. You obviously are going to be you're going into the medical field, but the education part of it is an important part of it too. Isn't it interesting that the better you get at a certain field, you want to? The old phrase sticks in my head: you can't keep it unless you give it away.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I see what you had this experience, and now what you're teaching these people. The fact you wanted to find out about the teaching part of it as well. Giving this to other people has to be a huge part for you.
Oh, absolutely. It keeps things in perspective, right? And so for me, as an individual, I appreciate perspective. I want to gain as much of it as possible, but there's also part of it of maintaining it, right? Medical school's hard. It's going to only get harder, right? And I've had the weeks where it sucks, and I've thought about doing other things, and the fact that I can't formulate an alternative means I'm in the right field. And sometimes I'm having a bad week, and I get an email from Med Science, and they say, "Please come speak to our students," and that's just what I need, And so, having it helps you gain perspective, and
I wish, Mike, you could come down, and we'll invite you to. Today we are doing a case with students, and Justin was in the back room because we have a two-way mirror like this, and the case was over, and Justin walks out, and these kids just look up at him, and he says, "Hi, I'm Justin. I want to tell you a little bit about my story." It's mesmerizing. And let me tell you, not everybody's going to give back to us, and I am so proud Justin has kept us in his heart and does it.
He's a special guy.
Yes.
I mean, there's a personal charisma he has in this room, which
I know.
I picked up on immediately.
Amazing.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
Justin Owumi is his name. Justin is a guy who benefited from the HMS Med Science program many years ago. It has evolved in big ways. He's seen the changes. He's impressed by the changes. The thing is, it's still there, and they need help. Please educate yourself about this. Get involved. If you have something to contribute, great. If you're someone who wants to be involved in this program, you can do it. You can do it. Again, hmsmedscience.org. Julie, Justin, thank you so much for being here.
I want to thank you, Mike, for having us.
And are you kidding me? This is wide open.
I want to thank my friend Sue Brady, who always is looking out for me, getting me on the radio, and this really helps get us students, helps get Justin his word out. So thank you.
Well, can I tell you something? I love when people find their calling. Her calling is connecting people.
Oh, I love that.
She's so great at this. She's like constantly, Michael, you got to get this organization on this week.
That is a connector.
It's big time.
It's a woman with heart,
that's important.
So thank you both.
Well, again, hmsmedscience.org. Find out about it. It is outstanding. Justin, thank you. Good luck with everything.
Thank
Julie,
you, Mike.
thanks.
Bye. That was.